Welcome to the Fourth and Forever podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, and let's get into it.
That's a W.
So, the draft. Crazy, always crazy. People going higher than you think, people dropping a little bit. I mean, Jeremiah Love at 3 to the Cardinals, didn't expect that. They are probably rocking with Jacoby Brissett. They got now Jeremiah Love, one of the best running back prospects probably since Bijan Robinson. It just absolutely insane. He's going to have a Jahmyr Gibbs-esque impact, I think, for this team. They already have Tyler Algier there, so they can split carries with a young running back. I think it's always really good for rookies to split carries early. You got two great receivers there, have one of the best tight ends, if not the best tight end in the league at the moment. It's an offense that when they get a quarterback, they can insert it and really do some damage. So I still think they need some help on the O line and the defense, but they got a generational talent and you can't miss that. Then Tennessee shaking the whole draft, grabbing Carnell Tate at 4. Insane. I love the pick. I now you gave Cam Ward a guaranteed weapon. I mean, this is a guy that wherever he was going to go, he was going to have an immediate impact. I mean, he was the best receiver in the draft, and I think he's just going to blow away with his talents. And then just throughout the whole draft, all these people just going. I mean, the Dolphins. I'm just going to say it now. I'm not really a fan of their draft. I think they took a tackle that's really a guard too high, who's had different intangible issues. He doesn't seem as dedicated. Not a self starter. He's had weight fluctuation issues, stuff that I personally wouldn't look to draft. But then you guys, then there's some teams that have had some phenomenal drafts. I mean, Dallas was able to get Caleb Downs. I think that was really good for their defense. They really needed somebody back there in secondary to really establish that. Ruben Bain falling to 15th, I think is a steal for the Buccaneers. But the thing I want to talk about first before anything else, the Rams at number 13 take quarterback Ty Simpson, Alabama. Now, I think this is good for the future, but this isn't good for now. So let's talk about why I like this pick. So everyone knows that through the draft process, I was higher and higher on Ty Simpson as things going on. I actually debated on having the Jets take him in the first round. Luckily, he fell to the Rams. I think a better organization, a better system, got a great starter that he can learn from. He doesn't have to play immediately because I always told people I said I like his accuracy. Starting his 2025 campaign, he had a great TD to interception ratio for the first 8 games. Something that fell off, but honestly, poor O line, more tape, coaching not up to the NFL level. Things like that happen. I think his measurables were great. I think he has a really good arm, not a great arm, but I think he's got a lot of great abilities that I really like. I think in the NFL, being able to be coached, even if he gets streaky when it comes to turnovers, coaches know how to coach out of that when he's accurate enough and has everything from the neck up that you're going to want for their starting quarterback. I think if he can do what Jordan Love did, sit behind a veteran for a couple years and come out and start, he could be a really sensational quarterback. And I think this is someone that I think more teams were invested in long term. I didn't see him going past the second. I thought he was going to get early in the second. The Jets or the Cardinals were going to swoop in for him, but the Rams, I think he lucked into a situation, and the Rams were really betting on the future, which is not something they normally do in the draft. They normally draft immediate need, and maybe that's why there's a part of me that don't like this pick. The Rams still need help on O line after Havenstein retired, so they're missing a key tackle in their offensive line. Devontae Adams is 32, Puka's in rehab. You don't have A plus tight end. You have a good running back duo, but overall, I think you could use another weapon. Getting a Makai Lemon here or someone else of like high status as a the receiving game would be, I think, a need for this team. But I don't know. I think the biggest issue with Simpson is he's probably not going to play this year. So you took with the 13th pick, a first round pick that you haven't had a first round pick since what was 2021, and you take a quarterback that most likely won't play, so he won't have no impact on a team that is chasing Super Bowl hopes this year. Like I said, I'm not loving that decision, but I don't hate it. I think this pick was better for Simpson than it was for the Rams, but I don't think it was a bad move for the Rams. As you know, Stafford is not going to play another 5, 10 years, but Simpson might have an 8 to 10 year career ahead of him. So with the situation you're putting in, this is banking on the future of this team, not the now of this team. Stafford seemed excited. McVay seems excited. The organization seemed excited. I just think this is a team that they addressed their corner issue. They've addressed in free agency. They traded for Trent McDuffie, signed Jalen Watson, so they immediately addressed that issue. But they haven't addressed the other issues that I think are glaringly obvious. But we'll see. This is a team that's competing in a very tough division, and Stafford has dealt with injuries. But even then, if Stafford goes down, who knows if it's going to be Stetson Bennett or Simpson as the actual QB2. So we'll see. But it was definitely an interesting play. I didn't see it happening. My brother called it though. My brother said he thought Simpson to the Rams made sense to him. I mean, hey, good call for him. But now let's get to my Baltimore Ravens. We didn't get too cute. We took Vega, was the best interior lineman in the draft, and I loved it. I think that's what we needed. We needed a guard. We need someone to protect Lamar Jackson. Everything I've heard from him since he got drafted, he said no one's touching his quarterback. It's war in the trenches. I love his mentality. I love his attributes. Everything about him is going to give us help establish the run game, which with his power and mauling effect and overall protect Lamar Jackson, which is what we need to do, which is what I think some other teams should have done. They should have focused on protecting their franchise quarterback because honestly, we've seen it. Without a franchise quarterback, you're not making the even if you make the playoffs, how are you going to get to a Super Bowl? But I mean, look at the whole draft. We then took Zion Young from Missouri in the second round, which I wasn't high on Zion Young, but I didn't hate him. I didn't think he was a first round talent. So getting him in the second, I think, was a great pick for him. I think we still got a lot of young pass rushers we're developing. We got Mike Green, we still working out. Linebacker Teddy Buchanan, he came in late. He got hurt late in the season. He was looking really good. So we got a lot of young defenders from last year to this year that are gonna be filling some of these gaps. So bringing in Zion Young is just kind of gonna he'll rotate out on that front seven between the outside linebacker edge role and having Trey Hendrickson as a solid edge rusher. It's gonna. I think it's a good pick. And then we took back-to-back receivers, Jacoby Lane from USC, who just he looks like it's just a kid that wants to compete. He wants to play hard. He wants to compete. And then we took Elijah Sarrett from Indiana, who just looks like he's a dog. He's a monster, competitive. We took two really competitive receivers that want play time. So our receiving core kind of looks like those two, but with Zay, Bateman, and Tez as our top three. I still wouldn't be shocked if we move Bate at some point in the season in a trade, as I don't see us paying him much more long term. And I think there's other teams that wouldn't mind having someone like him because I think Bateman is one could be our best receiver on the team, even though Zay gets more flash and pop. I just love what Bateman brings to the field. I think 2 years ago he really showed how great he could be, and last year with Lamar being hurt and the passing game really being underwhelming last year, it really hurt our whole receiving core and stopped them. And I really think Tez Walker is going to explode this year. I think he's finally going to be given a chance to do some damage. So I'd be excited to see that. Then we take Matthew Hibner, tight end from SMU. Good backup. We with Mark Andrews being our only tight end right now, and Kohler decided to go off to another team to where I think he went to the Chargers, and Isaiah Likely to the Giants. Getting two tight ends, we ended up getting Matthew Hibner and then taking Josh Cueva, who's a solid blocking tight end from Alabama. So I think we really replaced our two tight end role. We normally rock with three tight ends, so that was a great draft pick. These two young guys are going to start quick. We've done it though many years with the Ravens. We have multiple young tight ends and work with them. We did it with Hayden Hurst and Mark Andrews. Before then, we had Nick Boyle and Max Williams. Before then, we had Ed Dixon and Dennis Pitta. This is a formula the Ravens do very often. It's something I really enjoy. And then, like I said, we've had Andrews, Kohler, and Likely the last couple of years. So really excited for what we're planning to do. I think that drafting a more of a blocking esque tight end and a more of a versatile tight end that can line up anywhere and be a key down blocker in a two tight end set is phenomenal. We also took Chandler Rivers, slot corner from Duke. I think we needed another outside corner. I still am not loving our corner position. I mean, I love Marlowe, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely more of a true slot right now. Nate's our best corner. He's on the outside, and we did re-sign Awuzie, who had a phenomenal season last year. But is he a stopgap corner where it's just He'd be better if he was just a 1 year signing. I don't know. We'll see. But our depth at corner is not as very deep as it was. I'm pretty sure we'll bring back TJ Tampa, which I like, but he's more of a rotational depth piece. So are we bringing another depth piece or bringing a guy that can actually do some damage? I think we'll find out. We took Adam Randall, running back from Clemson. He's a big, strong boy. He's one of four Clemson running backs to secure 750 rushing yards and receiving yards in a season. That's pretty impressive. I would say this guy is actually has some upside. He's dealt with some injuries in his career, but overall, I think he's going to be a good depth guy. I mean, we lost Keaton Mitchell. We just got Derrick Henry, and right now Justice Hill. So having another guy like this, we're just on the depth is just really important in my opinion. We brought in Ryan Eckley, punter from Michigan, which we needed a punter with Stout going to the Giants. I loved it. I think it was a great move. He's a looks like a two-time All-American. He's gonna come in and shine, and hopefully our special teams, even without Harbaugh, is not going to be our downfall. Because I've said it, I'll say it again. If our special teams is our weakness of our team because we don't have Harbaugh here, it really showed how great of a coach Harbaugh was and how much we undervalued that aspect of him. So that better not be a weakness. That's all I'm saying. This punter better work. And then our last two picks, we take Rayshon Benny from Michigan, defensive tackle. Just Michigan's really good at putting out D linemen. I think he's gonna be a good rotational piece for us, even though he's a late pick. He could really shine. But like a lot of these late picks, they might just fall to the practice squad just because I think we're being such a good team, such a solid roster. We were more drafting for depth than we were for starting ability. Other than like our tight ends and like I said, our first pick and guard. Everyone else is kind of just filling a spot and trying to earn the way under the roster, if anything. And then we take a guard in Evan Bernstein from Northwestern. There's a chance that he might switch to center. He did start 43 games, so in his career, he's turns 26 this year, one of the oldest prospects coming out, which means some veteranness, which means he's been around, which means he's going to be a mature guy on the line. Whether he make a lot, Ravens aren't known for having starting rookie linemen that draft late. I mean, look at this. Stanley started, he was drafted early. Rosengard started, drafted early. Linderbaum started, drafted early. Like we even Emery Jones, who I really liked. It took us a while to get him going, and now he's going to start next year. But we're really not good about starting linemen that we draft late. I'm hoping that something will change. I'm hoping if this guy shows some promise, we've drafted a good center potentially. Because I don't think we have a center on our team, which I think is a huge weakness. I don't like that a center seems like a weakness and I'm still think the depth at corner is a big weakness, which I don't think we targeted either that very well in the draft. A lot of people say receiver was our weakness, but I don't know. I liked our top three. We just needed some depth, and I think we got the depth we were looking for. Now, if I was to grade our draft, I would put it at a B plus. I wish I could say an A. I think it's a B plus. I think we were A plus with the first round, but I think outside of that, we were hitting on a lot of people that were taking chances on a lot. If Zion Young can be an impact player, I think this could be an A draft. If Jacoby Lane can emerge as a starting receiving threat, this could take it to an A. But I think outside of the first four picks, we're kind of just crossing our fingers that these guys will be able to slot in and do some damage. And that's mostly what the draft is. Outside of the second, especially in a draft like this, where it's like after the third round, I think everyone was kind of like, well, we'll just take whoever. I mean, because it was not a flushed talent kind of draft. The first round, kind of once you got out of the first round, you were kind of just, there's only so many great guys that were left. But so, like I said, I think we had a B plus draft. I really liked it. I would almost give it an A. I think if anything, first round we're an A grade. But I think just overall, just based on this draft, it's hard to rank almost any draft as an A based on how many picks you get and who you're bringing in. And like I said, when you're a good team and you're sometimes drafting later, you're not always getting the value you're hoping to get as some of these other teams, which I'll talk about two of my favorite drafts later. Next, I want to talk about the Chiefs. They traded up to get Mansour Delane from LSU, the corner. I love the draft pick because I think Mansour Delane was the second best corner in the draft. Well, I think he was the best corner based on him playing in 2025. But as everyone knows, I was a bigger Jamal McCoy fan, so I figured he should have been ranked the best corner coming out. But I couldn't understand with the injuries he couldn't have, and he ended up falling. But I'll talk about that in a moment. But Delane, he's going to be an instant starter. He's a great prospect. I think there was nothing but good things to say about him. I think he showed up a lot last year, and I think the truth is he's going to put himself in a position to do what a lot of Chiefs corners have done, and that's succeed. Whether that's Watson or Snead or McDuffie, Chiefs have had a revolving door at they draft the corner, they have a phenomenal 3 to 4 years, and then they don't pay him. This is what the Chiefs do, and I think this was a good move by the Chiefs, so I'm not mad by it for Delane at least. But I think the Chiefs made the mistake. The Chiefs didn't have to trade up. They could have stayed where they at, and they could have got an offensive lineman. I still just tried and true. Sometimes I feel like you don't need to make the fancy pick to get what you deserve. Now I know there's certain guys out there like Nick Wright who said he wanted the Chiefs to take some flashy piece, whether it was an edge rusher or even a corner. That's what he wanted. But I'm sorry. Patrick Mahomes is your franchise quarterback. He's coming off of a pretty devastating leg injury that happened late in the season. So you know he's going to be kind of rusty. If he does start at week 1, it's going to be a rusty first couple of weeks. And if not, he's starting late in the season and you're going to have Justin Fields back there as your quarterback. I think having a dominant offensive lineman, which you could have gotten at the position you were drafting at, you could have got someone like Monroe Freeling. You could have got, in my opinion, the second best tackle in the draft. But instead, and he could have played left or right side easily. But instead, you trade it up, you take the best corner available, and like I said, you help your defense, but you're not protecting your franchise. Mahomes has lost Super Bowls, and you know how Mahomes has lost Super Bowls? The pressure has got to him. Whether it was the Eagles Super Bowl or the Bucks Super Bowl, them getting after Mahomes was the reason they lost. If you look at your formula, how to beat the Chiefs is to brutalize that offensive line and just attack Mahomes. They don't have great receiving weapons. I don't think they did very well. I don't think they drafted very well overall. And I think it's been a problem with the Chiefs for many years. I think they are trying to fill in a lot of pieces and trying to have a lot of their young guys stand out, but they've missed on a lot of picks. I'm not been very high on what the Chiefs done draft wise. I mean, you look across their roster, how many young guys have really stepped up in the recent years that really flashed for this team? I mean, other than corner, like we got Creed Humphrey, but most of the other offensive linemen aren't haven't been great. On defense, you're still having to pay Chris Jones because no one has stepped up in that slot. Your linebackers are all different kind of guys that are good, but they're not great. I wouldn't say Chanel or Bolton or like top level linebacker. I wouldn't put them two as like top 10 linebackers in the league. Maybe top 10, but definitely not top five. They're not going to be game changers week in and week out. Your receiving weapons, I mean, Xavier Worthy, he's just kind of small. Pacheco is now with the Lions, and he was a late round pick, but uh, all your receivers just across the board. I mean, Rasheed Rice constantly having legal issues. Don't have a true successor for Travis Kelce. I mean, this is a team that really is not a flushed roster. I understand you're happy. You got your quarterback, you got your center, you got your tight end, you got your defensive tackle. But two of those players are older, and two of those players, and well, four of those players all cost a lot of money. I don't know. I just think the Chiefs weren't really. I think I think they liked what Delane brought, and they thought, okay, we lost a corner, let's replace him immediately. But the truth is, they could have got a tackle here, and they could have waited and waited and waited and got a corner late in the draft. They could have got Avian Terrell, who would have immediately fixed the slot position. They could have, in the second or third, got Jamal McCoy, which I think would have been a great impact piece. How they could have got him in the first. I mean, look, the Dolphins got what was his name, Chris Johnson, and then Colton Hood. They both. I mean, they both went before Jamad. You could have got either of them. And even though I'm not a big, I didn't wasn't a huge fan of either of them. They still would have been, I think, better. That you could have got them at a good value slot and still got a nice tackle and didn't have to trade up and lose some draft picks. I don't know. Maybe that was just me, but I'm not a GM, so we'll see how it plays out. If Mansour Delayed ends up winning Defensive Player of the Year, then maybe I look a little more foolish. But I think if Pat Mahomes struggles this season or struggles to make it to the end of this season, then I think I will be proven right. Next, Raiders stole Jamal McCoy in the fourth. I know he was having the knee injury. People worry about. I know the ACL, but this is a guy that is going to have a chip on his shoulder like none other because of his draft fall. No one expected him to fall. I mean, a lot of people expected if he fell was late first to early second, and falling to the fourth was a steal. People were really nervous about the knee, and there's a good chance that he's got some other issues that he may require surgery young, but it's more of a cleanup surgery than it would be. Well, They said there's some sort of bone fragment or something that they would have to work out. I was reading the report, but I don't think it's. I think it's all going to be a non-issue. I think at the end of the day, the Raiders stole Jamal McCoy, and I think when he gets a chance to start and come out and play, they're going to have a dog of a defense with Max Crosby, with Jamal McCoy back there, then on and then all the free agents they sign across the board. I mean, they're going to have a dog of a defense and that offense. If they were in a lesser division, I see this as a 10-win team. Now they're probably more of a 7-8 win team just because it's a tough division and it's going to be hard. They're going to play the Chargers twice, the Broncos twice, the Chiefs twice. Even though I don't think the Chiefs roster is even at the level of the Raiders right now. I mean, truthfully, if you put the Raiders roster and the Chiefs roster together and you name the best 10 players in the both rosters, I mean, does the Raiders not clear almost? I mean, 6-4 maybe. I mean, I would say the Raiders got. I mean, look across the board. I like their running back situation. I mean, they got Kenneth Walker there, so maybe they got what? Maybe it's a 5-5 split. Even then, maybe. But it's not like it's not as easily clean as it used to be. So props to the Raiders for what they did. I think their draft was really impressive. But my two favorite drafts of this weekend easily were the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. And I'm not going to go in and talk the depth of their draft, like the late round picks. So the truth is, late round picks, you aren't really sure what they're going to be until you see something. But the early round picks is where they really succeed. So let's talk about the Jets. I like the Browns better, but let's talk about the Jets first. At pick two, they take David Bailey, the best pure pass rusher in the whole draft. There's nothing but upside here. He's going to come out and he's going to be an immediate impact player day one, a defensive player of the year candidate, more likely than not. He's just, I mean, you're looking at a team that is going to be playing from behind a lot. Um, and it's going to give Bailey a lot of chances to go get after the quarterback. And they're going to put this defense might be able to put this team in a position to really win 5 games. I can't give them more than 5 or 6 only because I mean they have no their offense is just they have no quarterback. I mean we've seen the I think we've seen the height of Geno Smith, and I think the Raiders. You can say what you want about the Raiders. I think Geno was the problem there, and I think coming to the Jets, he's not the solution. I think the Jets are still have no solution at quarterback. But then they take Kenyon Sadiq at 16, and then Omar Cooper at 30. Their first round was an A plus plus. They got two premier pass catchers. So now you get to have Kenyon Sadiq who can line up anywhere, whether it's the slot, the tight end role, he can block, he can catch. He's got all the versatility and athleticism. You got Garrett Wilson on the outside, Omar Cooper Jr. on the outside, who was Fernando Mendoza's favorite target in Indiana. You now got Brees Hall at the running back position, and then you got your edge rusher David Bailey. I think the first round, what they did, I gave them an A plus grade. Didn't matter what they did after this. They got 3 starters with 3 picks in the first round. You couldn't have asked for a better start to the draft. In day one, they won day one. No doubt about it. They got a kid with super strong hands, with like an Amon St. Brown kind of feel. They got a tight end who is Brock Bowers esque, maybe even a little quicker, which is insane. And then you got an edge rusher who's relentless, who's got great edge rush moves, who's versatile, who is just going to get after that quarterback like nobody's business. Jets had an A plus first round. But my favorite draft of the whole draft weekend was the Browns. At pick number 9, they were able to trade back and take Spencer Fano, who top 3 tackle in this draft, top 3 or 4 linemen in this draft. I mean, I would probably say Malinoia was the best. I would probably put Freeling at number 2 because I think he's the true left tackle, and then Fano, who's a true right tackle, which is perfect. I think you slot in someone, you got a perfect tackle who's going to start, who's going to be a beast. Big, great measurables, big hands. He's strong. He's got some athleticism to him. He's going to have an immediate impact. And then you were able to trade back to get him. Not to mention, at 24, I think you drafted this guy a little high. As you all know, I wasn't huge on KC Conception, but he's got strong hands. He's not particularly consistent, but he's got strong hands. He's been a red zone threat. He's versatile, great route runner, shifty. He can move all around the field. He's got good separation. So you really added a really good key piece to kind of add some different elements to your offense to make it a little more exciting. And then at pick 39, early in the second, you take one of my favorite receivers in the draft, someone who I've ranked as the third best receiver in this draft, Denzel Boston, who's got great hands, who's a red zone target, and he's a possession threat. He's a guy that may never be the number one receiver on any team, but he's a 2 or 3 all day. He's going to go out there, he's going to compete, he's going to get open, he's going to catch the ball. You're never going to have to worry about him dropping the ball. He doesn't drop the ball. He's great. It's like that's what he does. That he's a possession guy. You're going to just load him up. He's going to be a kind of guy that throughout his career is going to get if things are going, he's going to catch 60 to 70 to 80 balls every year. This is what he can do. I've seen enough tape. I've seen enough analysts. This guy has, I think, the biggest pop of any receiver that could come out that people wouldn't expect as much. I think you expected Carnell Tate to go number one. You expected Makai Lemon, Jordan Tyson, and Mark Cooper. You expected those guys to really pop, and because they just got more attention. But Denzel Boston was my favorite, or I'd say my second favorite receiver because I think Carnell Tate was my favorite. Okay, maybe third because I loved Carnell Tate. I love Jordan Tyson, but I love Denzel Boston and his health. He's got more of a better health standing than Jordan Tyson did. So I think he has a big chance to pop. Now I know Browns don't. I don't know if they have an answer at quarterback with Shadur, but if they do, this is an offense with two impact receivers. Jerry Jeudy, who really had a good connection with Shadur and really came on. And if that's your three receiver lineup, yeah, you may not have a true one, but you have solid 2-2-2 with Harold Fanning, which is going to be a great tight end in this league. You got a good duo running back combo. You're now having a really impressive offensive line, and you got a great defense who also added with the 58th pick, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, who was my favorite safety in the draft. He's a committed tackler. He's got great range, great ball commitment. He definitely plays more up in the middle to like the more the front end of the defense, but he can drop back and play more of that free position as well. And the thing is, they didn't need it, but he can definitely play a good cover role all across that middle of the defense, help the linebackers, take out, hop in the slot. He has so much versatility to him. I think it's a great draft by the Browns. This is another A++ draft. This is the kind of people that they've drafted 4 guys that are going to start for this team week one. And I think that is all they could ask for is in the draft. I mean, the Browns, if they had a quarterback and they had a competent organization, because it seems like they have at least a competent GM, this is a team that could be a real threat next year. The problem is I'm not sold on Shadur, definitely not sold on Dylan Gabriel, and I've already thrown everything out about Watson. But this is a team. I'm telling you, they get a quarterback. This is a team that's going to be dangerous. It's a dangerous defense, and it's an offense that can pop at any moment. So no one should take the Browns lightly going into next season. Because even if Shadur is moderately okay, this is a team that can win 7, 8 games. And that means they're going to upset teams that should beat them. I'm just saying. I got another podcast to record next week, Keep going with this, keep talking about free agency stuff. But that was just my draft take. Maybe I'll talk more stuff maybe next week as I analyze the draft even more. So maybe later round picks, some other guys I really want to talk about. But I didn't want to take up too much time. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and most importantly, as always, thank you.